I'm certain that everyone with a functioning prefrontal cortex was aware that this man was the show's big bad. I knew it from the moment he was introduced in episode 2, and we saw his fight with Galadriel that he was going to be revealed as the second worst plague that Middle-earth had ever seen. It was just so obvious, and how the showrunners thought that this was the big twist that was going to cause us all to gasp and clutch our pearls just demonstrates their sheer unintelligence. Of course the one guy who looks like he could handle himself in a fight would be the show's big bad. Of course the rest of the males in comparison would be teenage boys and therefore incapable of looking like a decent threat. Of course the one man who didn't completely bow and scrape to Galadriel would be the one that she was looking for this whole time. This twist was so heavy-handed that it might as well have been a sledgehammer. This reveal had all the subtlety of a brick to the head, and yet somehow was even more painful. The only other reveal that even came close was the knowledge that Galadriel is a complete and utter sociopath for never once mentioning that her husband was dead before the show's penultimate episode. Boy, I don't know how they're going to work Celeborn back into the second season, but I'm looking forward to seeing Payne and McKay become writing contortionists while they try to do it. This was one of the worst villain reveals that I have ever seen. A smug, overinflated display of CGI, bad acting, and forced nostalgia that made me roll my eyes so hard they almost disappeared into the back of my head. The fact that they tried to shoehorn in Sauron's role as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, with scenes like this.
Well, that is an intriguing suggestion.
Call it a gift.
Is only one more reason why this show is more focused on an agenda than in telling a good story. It's like the showrunners were like, we're out of time, we have to remind people that Sauron has been hiding under their noses all this while, and tie all of the ridiculous, crazy strands of this story together until they are all one big knot of confusion and insanity. The last episode itself, in which the big reveal occurs, is comprised of weeks of travel and healing compressed into a 1-hour episode. The very speed of time happens so fast that it is jarring. 1 minute Halbrand is almost dead, the next he is on his feet and offering advice to Celebrimbor, who acts more like a doddering dementia patient instead of the elf of great renown that he was always referred to as in canon. In addition to the brief Anatar facade that he wears in this episode, Halbrand wears so many masks that it is nearly impossible to keep up with them all. He is almost half dead from illness in the beginning. Several weeks of healing go by that we do not see. Then he is an eager puppy in Celebrimbor's forge, offering ideas and theories that apparently the thousands of years old elf would not have thought of at all so that he could have a breakthrough. And then he's a humble and gracious person, thanking Galadriel for saving his life.
You believed in me. You saw strength in me. You pushed me to heights that no one else could have.
What heights were those exactly, my friend? Because all you as Sauron have really done is get shipwrecked, land in Numenor, smith for a bit, leave Numenor, return to the Southlands in time to catch Adar, and then get wounded in a volcano explosion that never should have happened in the first place, I might add. Whereupon you have to go to the elven capital of Lindon in order to get healing before the big reveal. The speed of which the traveling and the healing happens, I kid you not, is 20 minutes. The space of weeks or months happens over the course of 20 minutes. The first half of this show, next to nothing happens with the big bad, and then in the last 3 episodes we see flashes, and finally, in the final episode, everything about how Sauron came to be with the elves in canon has to be shoehorned in. All this makes the reveal ridiculously obvious, but cheap as well. The revelation of Sauron should be one of the most frightening things since Morgoth for the elves and other peoples, and what we get instead is a cartoon villain who I cannot take seriously because his plan was so convoluted and his tactics so ridiculous. But that's not even really the worst part. The worst part is that they took Sauron, one of the most evil villains in the history of modern writing, a being so powerful that his thirst for dominion over all life could not be contained, for whom hundreds of thousands of elves and dwarves and men fought and died against, and turned him into a conflicted, tortured being with bad intentions who said that he wanted to be redeemed. They made him out to be this pawn of Morgoth who didn't have control over himself, and when he finally did, he wanted to make right all the wrongs he had done. Forget about bastardizing Galadriel. This is the most blatant example of character assassination that I have ever seen and hope I will ever see again. But we're not finished yet. Part of his master plan is to convince Galadriel to join him as his queen of all things. In all the modern forms of media about Tolkien's world, one thing has been blatantly obvious. There's only ever one Dark Lord at one time. Gandalf says it, Galadriel says it, and yet this show has tried to take that standard and make it into an even more twisted version of the Reylo love story in modern Star Wars. What possible reason could he have for wanting Galadriel on his side? She's a warrior in this show and nothing more. She has not displayed any of her incredible powers that she has had for thousands of years because she trained with the Valar, so she has nothing to offer him. But it seems as if the writers themselves have some sort of twisted fetish for a good, strong woman is almost corrupted by the good-looking bad boy who might not be all that bad, he's just complicated. He even says that he would not be a Dark Lord, not with Galadriel at his side to keep him in check. They're appealing to people's twisted fantasies here, particularly the females, and it's more than a little disturbing.
If, like, Sauron is hot, I feel like people will be like, I can fix him.
Congratulations, Amazon. You've done exactly that. It's one thing to make your villain attractive, but we are not supposed to be attracted to him. We are supposed to understand that he is evil. The minute you do that, you cheapen his effect on the storyline and take away weight from what the plot should be. And yet this show has gotten a season 2. We are going to see this character along with Morfydd Clark and her band of merry men in another 8 episodes. Forget Finrod or Celeborn's deaths. The fact that this show is going to continue is the biggest injustice of them all. We get to see more ham-fisted reveals, erratic pacing, and bastardized characters. The only thing that I can be happy about at this juncture is the knowledge that I can make more content ripping it to shreds. Watching the writers and actors flail on social media is also a guaranteed plus. And with that, I have nothing more to say. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe for more like it. I'll see you all next time.